You're heading to the store to get a PlayStation 4 right now and need to know which games to get. Keep your eyes on the road, please. Or maybe you're home, all set up, realizing you want more stuff to play. We're here to help. These days, there are more good PS4 games than ever, with new contenders arriving all the time. Below, find a list of the games we recommend for Sony's machine. We will, of course, continue updating this list regularly as more games are released for the PS4. We've capped the list at 12, and in the months and years to come we'll continue to remove old games to make way for new, better entries. Here goes. At a cursory glance, Horizon Zero Dawn may seem overly familiar. It's got Uncharted platforming, a Far Cry open world with stealth and crafting, Tomb Raider third-person bow fights and Monster Hunter-style battles against massive robot dinosaurs. Wait a minute, did we say overly familiar? Because that sounds great. Horizon actually manages to simmer those promising raw ingredients into something that works even better than we'd hoped. It's got a steady stream of exhilarating gameplay and awe-inspiring sights all wrapped up in a surprisingly engrossing and satisfying story. As a bonus, it's one of the most technically advanced, gorgeous games you can play on a PS4. A good match for fans of the games mentioned in the description above, anyone who's ever wanted to go toe-to-toe with a robot velociraptor. Not a good match for those looking for an easy time. Horizon is a bracingly difficult game, and you'll have to play smart and aggressively to make it through alive. From tip to tail, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a profound, glorious downer. It is the rare blockbuster video game that seeks to move players not through empowering gameplay and jubilant heroics, but by relentlessly forcing them to confront decay and despair. It has no heroes, only flawed men and women fighting viciously to survive in a world that seems destined to destroy them. It is both an exhilarating glimpse into the future of entertainment and a stubborn torchbearer for an old-fashioned kind of video game design. It is a lot, and also, it is a whole lot. A good match for cowboys, open-world connoisseurs, history buffs, lapsed game-playing persons lured by a game whose atmosphere strikingly mimics many masterpieces of film and literature. Not a good match for those averse to open worlds, because this sure is the open-worldest of all possible open worlds. Also, Sonic the Hedgehog fans need not apply, your cowpoke's walking speed is the exact opposite of going fast. You're alone on an island, surrounded by puzzles. That's The Witness, an extremely complicated game that is really very simple. Some of the puzzles are obvious, they're on screens right in front of you, stacked in orderly rows. Other puzzles are much less easy to find. All of them will stymie and confound you, but over time you'll gradually dismantle them until the game's grand design is laid out in front of you like the workings of a finely crafted watch. Some games make you level up your character to access new areas, this one makes you level up yourself. There are few more satisfying feelings in gaming than when you finally realize the solution to a puzzle in The Witness. With a click, a new door opens. A good match for puzzle fiends, people who like a challenge, anyone who liked Myst and wants to see what a modern evolution would be like. Not a good match for anyone wanting action, the easily frustrated, people who don't like puzzles in games and generally just go look up the answers. Nier Automata will probably surprise you. It starts out as a fast-moving action game in the vein of Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, telling a story about hot robots exploring a ravaged future Earth. And until the first time the credits roll, that's what it remains. Keep playing, though, and Nier will begin to open up and transform. It shifts viewpoints and twists inside of itself, eventually unfolding in a spiral of revelations that crescendos all the way to the grand finales. Yes, you must finish Nier Automata 5 times to get the complete story. But like the rest of this fantastic game, that doesn't mean what you think it means. A good match for fans of narrative mindfucks like the first Nier or the Metal Gear Solid games, people looking for something ambitious and unapologetically weird. Not a good match for people who like their game stories straightforward, anyone who doesn't like beat-em-ups or shoot-em-ups. What if there was a soap opera that made you cry, but also let you play classic Sega games? The Yakuza series is a unique mixture of melodrama and comedy, packed with compelling characters and criminal intrigue. It's also a series where you can hire a chicken as your real estate manager and manage a cabaret club. Yakuza Zero is the perfect entry point into the series, spinning a tale of two criminals wrapped up in intersecting plots. The story twists and turns, while the open world provides colorful side quests and distractions. It starts slow, but if you stick with it, you'll find one of the most sincere games on the PlayStation 4, emotionally packed and surprisingly funny. A good match for tattoo enthusiasts, anyone who loves a good plot twist, folks interested in great localizations, mini-game lovers, and anyone looking to experience a rich story. Not a good match for anyone who absolutely hates cutscenes, that one guy who says this would be better with English voice actors, and players looking for a shorter narrative experience. There's no shortage of ambition in The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt. Geralt of Rivia's latest adventure is massive, a world you can get lost in for hours and still have plenty to do. And while many games these days have sprawling landscapes, The Witcher 3 is utterly dense. Every nook and cranny is filled with memorable characters, clever writing, and rewards for curious players. The main story is as thrilling as it is emotionally draining, and the side quests are actually worth doing. Best of all? You don't need to have played a Witcher game to enjoy the heck out of the third. A good match for open-world fans, especially those who enjoyed Skyrim but were disappointed by the combat. In The Witcher 3, fighting is nearly as enjoyable as exploration. Not a good match for people who value their time and social life, or those who prefer their games hyper-polished without any framerate drops or other nagging technical flaws. If you think Tetris can't get any better, then you haven't played Tetris Effect. Born from the minds behind Rez and Lumens, its trippy journey through wonderfully crafted synesthetic experiences is only amplified by the optional PlayStation VR mode. Tetris Effect's Journey mode takes you through 27 sublime levels that also introduce new and very welcome changes to the 35-year-old series. The game also has more traditional modes that let you compete for top spots on the leaderboards and unlock fancy avatars. It's video game meditation, and there's really nothing else like it. A good match for OG Tetris fans who miss the series and newcomers who are curious about learning the intricacies of a nearly perfect game design that feels brand new again, psvr owners. Not a good match for people who can't get into puzzle games, players who prefer competitive multiplayer modes, anyone who hates electronic music. It's a fan art generator. It's pure cosplay fodder. It's a meme machine, a water cooler mainstay, and a cultural obsession. Overwatch is all of those things, but above all else it's a finely tuned competitive video game that manages to encourage pitted competition and enthusiastic teamwork while ensuring everyone is having a good time. A good match for Team Fortress 2 fans, people who liked banging action figures together as a kid, people who've wanted to try a competitive first-person shooter but haven't yet found the right fit. Not a good match for anyone who wants to play offline, or who is hoping for a substantial single-player story campaign. Overwatch is strictly multiplayer only. For years, the best way to understand why so many people love Monster Hunter games was to play one on a mobile device. With Monster Hunter World, everything that makes Capcom's long-running series so great is finally playable on a modern, big-screen gaming system. World takes advantage of that screen real estate, and the massive beasts you'll fight look just as fearsome as you'd expect. World may be the most approachable Monster Hunter game yet, but it's still a complex, rewarding game that you can play for hundreds of hours without running out of things to do. It's fun to play solo, fun to play with friends, and basically just really fun. A good match for anyone looking for a thick, complicated game, those who like Dark Souls-style combat against huge enemies, people who've been intrigued by Monster Hunter and looking for a way to get into the series. Not a good match for those who want a game that's straightforward and easy to get into, vegetarians. If we had to sum up Bloodborne in a single phrase, it would probably be "there's blood everywhere." The newest game from Dark Souls maestro Hidetaka Miyazaki and his team at From Software, Bloodborne represents both a careful iteration of the Souls formula and a significant departure from it. The game's fundamental structure and signature difficulty remains, but everything has been intensified, with knife cuts and quicksilver bullets flying faster than your eye can track. Bloodborne is a gore-soaked masterpiece. A good match for fans of From's other games like Demon's Souls and Dark Souls, people who like tough games, H.P. Lovecraft buffs. Not a good match for anyone who gets easily frustrated by difficult games, people looking for a more traditional RPG with a more traditional story. What if you could relive high school but do it way better? That's the promise of Persona 5, and Atlus's killer social sim plus dungeon crawler more than delivers. You're a high school student spending a year at a new school in Tokyo, but you're anything but ordinary. You and your motley crew of friends have the ability to infiltrate the subconscious palaces of the various villains and tormentors who challenge you in the real world, changing their hearts and bringing them to justice. As the days tick by, you'll spend your afternoons deciding whether to go shopping, hang out with your friends, or head into a dungeon to slay some demons. The more you play, the more the cast expands, the story unfolds, and the mystery deepens. What's really going on? Where do these mystical powers come from? How's it all gonna end? And will you finally be able to get Makoto to go out with you? A good match for fans of previous Persona games, along with anyone who likes stylish art and killer music. Persona 5 is overflowing with both. Not a good match for people who hate turn-based JRPG combat, people who don't like games with a lot of text to read, anyone looking for a game they can finish in a single weekend. God of War is every bit the prestige, mega-budget action game it sets out to be. It's got uncommonly satisfying combat, gorgeous music and art direction, and gives players hours and hours of fun stuff to do. Like past God of War games, it mixes joyously violent melee fighting with clever environmental puzzle solving. Like past God of War games, it takes players on a Cliff's Notes tour of an ancient religion, with Norse mythology taking over this time for the Greek pantheon of its predecessors. Unlike past God of War games, however, it takes greater care with its story, revitalizing and to an extent rehabilitating its long-in-the-tooth anti-hero Kratos by focusing on his relationship with his young son Atreus. Their story is full of shocking twists and massive set pieces, but some of its best moments feature the heroes quietly rowing a boat down a river, regaling one another with stories of ages past. God of War is an unusually thoughtful blockbuster, an epic that manages to be quietly reflective and wildly entertaining at the same time. A good match for fans of Norse mythology, people who like intense action, anyone looking for something that'll really show off how good a PS4 game can look. Not a good match for those uncomfortable with on-screen violence. God of War's mayhem doesn't feel as gratuitous as past games in the series, but there's still some extremely brutal stuff. Click the link below to get the best product in the market. It's an affiliate link.